I landed in Buenos Aires, BA baby. The air was thick with humidity. My Spanish? Let's just say hola was my greatest hit. The taxi driver spoke a mile a minute. I just nodded and smiled, pretending to understand. Welcome to Argentina. First impressions. European-style buildings like Paris and Madrid had a baby. The people were incredibly stylish. Meanwhile, I looked like my suitcase had won a fight. My hotel was in Palermo. At the hotel, the desk clerk greeted me in rapid Spanish. Luckily, he switched to English. First task, exchanging money. Suddenly, I was a millionaire and rapidly devaluing pesos. Buying water became a comedy of errors as I fumbled with the unfamiliar bills. Finally, success, confidence level, a solid 2 out of 10. Day 1. Go make it through the day. And maybe see a cool thing or two. First thing, Argentinian steak. It's like a national treasure. I found a parrilla. That's a traditional steakhouse. The smell alone was like heaven. I pointed at the menu. Uno bife de chorizo, por favor. How I said it? Let's call it unique. The steak showed up. It wasn't just a steak, it was a small cow. So good, cooked perfectly, with this green sauce called chimichurri. Pure magic. I ate. And then I fell into a happy steak-filled nap. My vegetarian friends would totally disown me. Some things that happen in Buenos Aires stay in Buenos Aires. Next, some culture Recoleta Cemetery. Yep, a cemetery. It's a big tourist spot. Eva Perón, Evita, is buried there. The tombs were like tiny marble palaces, super fancy, way over the top. Some even had little living rooms inside. For ghosts, I guess. Darling, could you pass the ghost juice? Then the language problem hit hard. I tried to ask for directions to a museum. Museo. A nice local pointed, talked really fast and waved their arms a lot. I nodded, smiled, said thank you a bunch. Then I walked off super confidently, in the wrong direction. For 3 whole blocks, realized my mistake, walked all the way back. I felt like a human boomerang. My brain's GPS was clearly taking a long nap. A permanent one. Lost in translation? More like just plain lost. Day 2 started. My Spanish hadn't magically gotten better overnight. Big surprise. Today's big plan, try tango, the dance of passion. And for me, the dance of falling all over myself. I found a class for beginners. The teacher, Isabella, moved like a graceful cat. I moved like a confused penguin on roller skates. Hold your partner, feel the music! My partner, a nervous guy from Germany, looked just as scared as I was. We tried the basic steps. Forward, back, side, together. Sounds easy, right? Nope. My feet were doing their own thing. Isabella sighed. A lot. I think I made up a new dance move. The clumsy shuffle. Tango 1, me 0. Argentina won that round for sure. After the tango mess, I needed some carbs. I walked into a panaderia, a bakery. The amount of breads and pastries was wild. So many different shapes, so many shiny glazes, so many things I couldn't say the name of. I pointed at something that looked like a croissant's crazier cousin. Uno de eso, I said. That was my go-to phrase. It was handy, if a little unclear. The baker, a serious-looking woman, raised an eyebrow. She knew I didn't belong in the land of amazing bread. The pastry was different. Sweet, but also kind of salty. Maybe cheese, some kind of fruit paste, maybe jam, or a science project. Not bad, just not what I expected. Like finding pineapple on your pizza when you weren't ready for it. Buenos Aires, you always keep me guessing. And my toes were very sore from that tango. Day 3, time to take on public transportation. The Colectivo, that's the bus. These aren't just any buses, they're like art projects on wheels. Lights, dangly things, pictures of saints, pictures of Maradona, a soccer god. Sometimes both. It's like a party on wheels, a very crowded, very fast party. You need a special card called a sub card. I got one. Felt like a big shot, like a real local. Then I had to figure out where the buses went. The bus map looked like someone dropped a plate of spaghetti from way up high. I got on my first Colectivo, paid with my sub card. Yes. Then I tried to tell the driver where I was going. He just grunted and drove. Really, really fast. He was weaving through traffic like a race car driver. I held on super tight. My knuckles were white. The other people on the bus, totally calm. Next stop, Casa Rosada, the pink house. It's where the president works. And it's pink, very pink, like Pepto-Bismol pink. I heard they painted it with cow's blood and lime, makes it waterproof and I guess scares away pigeons. I stood in the big square, Plaza de Mayo, looking at the pink building. I wondered if the president ever gets sick of that color. Later, I walked into a protest. People here get really fired up. Drums chanting signs. I couldn't understand what they were saying, but you could feel the energy. I just tried to stay out of the way, and not accidentally join a political group. My Spanish wasn't good enough to really get into it. Sunday, San Telmo Market. It's an antique market, a flea market, and wow, I didn't know I needed that market. Streets made of cobblestones, tango dancers in the square, the vibe buzzing, crowded, but in a fun way. I looked at stalls selling old tango records, old-timey seltzer bottles and gaucho knives, cowboy knives. Everything had a story, or a salesperson who was really good at making one up. Mister, this mate cup? It belonged to Gardel himself, a famous tango singer. Sure it did, buddy. I bargained for a small penguin wine pitcher that was a little chipped. Because why not? Everyone needs a penguin wine pitcher. How I bargained? I pointed, looked sad and said, menos, less? It kinda worked. I probably still paid too much, but I got my penguin. Soccer, football. It's not just a game here, it's like a religion. Boca Juniors, River Plate. The rivalry between these teams is huge. You have to pick a side. You can't be in the middle. I didn't dare go to a real game, my travel insurance probably wouldn't cover that kind of craziness. But you could feel the soccer love everywhere. People wearing team jerseys, flags hanging from balconies, loud arguments in cafes over tiny cups of coffee. It's serious stuff. I found a bar showing a game. The sound was off, but the way people were acting told the whole story. Groans, cheers, wild arm waving. I drank my Quilmes beer feeling like a scientist studying a new tribe, the soccer fanatics. Hope their team always wins, or at least doesn't lose too badly. Palermo, the neighborhood I was staying in. Time to really check it out. Palermo Soho and Palermo Hollywood, super trendy. Full of cool shops, nice cafes and street art. So much street art. Whole buildings covered in bright, colorful paintings. I walked around, taking pictures like any other tourist. No shame in my game, I found the botanical garden. It was like a green paradise. A break from all the city noise and car horns. So many pretty plants. They had long, complicated Latin names. I just called them Pretty Flower Number 1 and Pointy Leaf Thingy. Cats were everywhere, just chilling, judging the tourists. They were like the unofficial security guards of the gardens. I tried to make friends with one. It gave me a totally disgusted look. Fair enough. Lunchtime, another food adventure. I saw a sign for Milanese. Sounded Italian. Seemed like a safe choice, right? It's basically a schnitzel, a giant breaded piece of meat, served with fries or even more fries. Mine was the size of a dinner plate. People in Argentina don't do small meals. Go big or go home. Evening in Palermo. The nightlife is famous. Bars don't get busy until midnight. Restaurants are busiest around 10 at night. Since I like to go to bed early, this was tough. I tried. I had a Fernet and Coke. It's the national drink. Tastes like bitter, herby cough syrup mixed with cola. You definitely have to get used to it. I wasn't there yet. The bars were cool though, hidden bars that looked like old-timey speakeasies, bars on rooftops, if you can stay awake long enough to find them. Back to Recoleta. The neighborhood is super fancy. I visited El Ateneo Grand Splendid, a bookstore in an old theater. It took my breath away. One of the most beautiful bookstores in the world. I needed more culture, so I went to Museo Nacional de Bellas Artes. Lots of amazing art. Some of it was beautiful, some of it was modern. For the evening I looked for live music. A small club was advertising a folklore night. Traditional Argentinian music. Guitars, drums, singing with so much feeling. It was incredible. Real. Powerful. You didn't need to understand the words, you could feel the music. This felt like the real heart of Argentina, more than the tango. Last full day, panic mode, I hadn't bought enough souvenirs, or eaten enough dulce de leche. Dulce de leche, it's caramel. But not just any caramel, it's the king of all caramels. They put it in everything, croissants, ice cream, cakes, on toast. You can buy it in huge tubs. I was seriously thinking about it. How much is too much? Is that even a thing? Souvenir shopping, always hard. Leather stuff is a big deal here, but my budget was more like keychain and fridge magnet money. I found a shop selling Mayday gourds and bombillas, metal straws. They looked real, they were useful, and they wouldn't cost too much, or break my suitcase. I bought a few. I imagined myself back home sipping mate, looking all cool and worldly. Yeah right, I'd probably spill it all over myself. I went back to a favorite cafe for one last Argentinian coffee, strong, small cups. They often give you a tiny glass of soda water with it. And a media luna, a small sweet croissant, the perfect combo. I sat and watched the Buenos Aires locals, the porteños, go about their day. They dressed so cool without even trying. They talked with so much energy. And the kissing, so much kissing in public. Cheek kisses for hello, goodbye, nice to meet you, packing, the worst part of any trip. My suitcase was about to explode, mostly with stuff made with dulce de leche, and my slightly chipped penguin wine pitcher. He needed to be wrapped up carefully. One last steak for dinner? You bet. When in Buenos Aires, you gotta eat the beef. It's the law. Not a written law, but still. Day to leave. The city looked different. more familiar, not as scary, or maybe I was just used to the craziness. Buenos Aires, you were a trip, for real and also like, wow. You confused me, you charmed me, you fed me, so much meat, and you taught me a few things, about myself, about life, mostly about how bad my Spanish really is. But also that it's okay to not understand everything. Sometimes just smiling and nodding is enough. I learned that passion isn't just for tango dancers, it's in the way people talk, protest, cheer for their soccer team, it's in the art, the music, the late-night talks over Fernet. This city has a lively heart, even if it's frustrating sometimes, and that feeling spreads, in a good way. I came expecting tango and steak, I guess, I found that. But I also found a city with lots of different sides, with toughness and charm, with a long history and a super modern feel. What will I remember most? The pure fear of my first Colectivo ride. So, adios, Buenos Aires, for now. You were exciting, surprising, a little bit silly, in the best possible way.